What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is a series where I go into great detail with all the stats of every one of the weapons in CoD WW2. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the MG42 LMG. In real life, the MG42 was developed in 1942. It fires an 8mm Mauser round at 1200 rounds per minute. This is an incredibly fast fire rate, especially for a heavy round like the 8mm Mauser. In CoD WW2, we get a damage profile of 30-24, which means it's always going to be a 4 to 5 shot kill, although when we look at the ranges, just like with all the other LMGs, the drop-off point for this is so far away that you'll never find a line of sight long enough to reach that 5-shot kill range, so effectively, this is a 4-shot kill at all ranges. Our rate of fire is significantly slower than real life at 652 rounds per minute, and with rapid fire, we can bump that up to 716 rounds per minute. Our statistical time to kill within the 4-shot range, which like I said is all the ranges, is 276 milliseconds, which is quite slow if you're competing with other guns up close, but once you stretch that out to a bit of a distance, it's quite a solid time to kill. As for headshots, we get a 1.1 headshot multiplier, which brings our headshot damage to a 33, which means it's still going to be a 4-shot kill, even if every one of your shots hits him in the head. Getting into the ranges really quick, like I said, you'll never find a practical line of sight in this game long enough to reach the 5-shot kill range, so it's a 4-shot kill at any range. As for hardcore, it's going to be a 1-shot kill at all ranges. Moving on to Hipfire, we get standard LMG Hipfire, which means it's not so great, especially when you compare it to most of the rifles and SMGs in the game, but having said that, at least it's not quite as bad as the Bren. For idle sway, as you can see here, the gun has very little idle sway. This is generally never going to have an effect on your aim. As for accuracy, the MG42 has a bit of a random recoil within a relatively contained area. What this means is out to a medium range, generally you're going to be able to stay on target just fine. When you get to those longer ranges though, if you go full auto, you will often be missing shots that'll kick randomly a little bit to the side, just enough to take you off target. So it's pretty accurate, but at the same time, you might struggle at some of the long ranges if you're going full auto with this gun. Our magazine capacity on the MG42 is 50 rounds with 100 in reserve, and with extended mags, we can actually double that at 100 rounds with 200 in reserve. Our reload add time is pretty standard for LMGs, which is to say it's quite slow at 5.2 seconds, so you really don't want to be getting caught in a situation where you need to reload this and there are enemies nearby. Our aim down sight time was just buffed actually in the most recent update. It used to be 350 milliseconds, now it's 300 milliseconds, which is right in line with all of the other LMGs aside from the Bren. Our sprint out time was unchanged in this recent update though, so it remains at 350 milliseconds. Our movement speed is standard for LMGs at 92.5%, and our aim down sight strafe speed is also standard at 40%. Moving on to my recommended attachments, for all of the LMGs, I highly recommend using Quick Draw. This will reduce your aim down sight time by 20%. And with the MG42, I would highly recommend extended mags. It's so hard to pass up extended mags simply because the reload time is super slow, and also you literally double the magazine capacity when you put extended mags on, so it's just so hard to pass up on this gun. Aside from that, there are various other options you could go with. Steady aim is a pretty decent choice. Rapid fire is actually not a bad choice either. It will take that time to kill up close into a bit more of a competitive zone with the other guns in the game. And if you don't like the iron sights, a reflex is a great choice. Moving on to a couple example classes I have for you guys. First up, we have the Infantry Division. We've got Quick Draw, Extended Mags, and Rapid Fire, and our basic training is Lookout. Our secondary is a 9mm SAP with a Sticky Grenade as our lethal. For all of my LMGs, I really like running the Infantry Division, and this is for two reasons. First up, LMGs really do well with extra attachments, so it's great to have that extra attachment slot. And second, the ability to strafe faster when aiming down sight is very important with something like an LMG, and therefore infantry is something that I run on almost all of my LMG classes. Now this is one that I'll use more for a traditional LMG role. I'll kind of hang back a little bit. I don't want to get too up close and personal, although with rapid fire my time to kill isn't too terrible, and that's why I have Lookout on this particular class setup. Next up is a really similar one, but this one's designed to be slightly more aggressive. You'll see I dropped Quick Draw in exchange for steady aim. If you get right up close and personal, you might as well just be hip firing, and if you need to aim down sight, usually you'll be in a situation where you have time to aim down sight without Quick Draw. And we also swapped our basic training out to Hunker here, and this just allows me to play the objective a bit more effectively. Everything else is exactly the same. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's gun guide. As always, I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think of the MG42? Personally, I feel like it's a bit of an underwhelming gun. It's not amazing by any means, but it's absolutely useful. It's not a terrible gun, it just doesn't really stand out in any way. Also, if you guys have missed any of the previous episode of gun guides, I've covered most of the guns so far. We've still got several to go though. I will leave a link to the playlist down below. And once again, I want to give a reminder to check out my patch notes as well. If you haven't checked out the patch notes videos, then you're missing out when it comes to this series because lots of things have changed, especially in the most recent update. So I will leave that link down below as well. Make sure you check out those changes because a lot of the previous Gun Guides episodes that I've done, they're inaccurate now and they need those patch notes videos to go along with them. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.